Hello everybody and welcome to the ESI Digest, where we run through the biggest esports business related news stories of the week. I'm your host Tom Daniels, the sub-editor of Esports Insider, and today we have 5 huge news stories in the world of esports business. So in today's ESI Digest we're going to be covering Oxygen Esports merging with Boston Uprising and as a result acquiring a CoD League slot. Riot Games announcing its VCT EMEA plans and also introducing VALORANT Regional Leagues. Gen.G promoting Arnold Hur to the role of CEO. Quadrant announcing its entry into Halo Esports. And finally, we're going to be talking about MOONTON and ONE Esports announcing the Mobile Legends Bang Bang Women's Invitational. So, let's get into the digest. So the first story of today's digest is the fact that North American esports organizations Oxygen Esports and Boston Uprising have announced the merger that will see both entities acquire the 12th spot in the Call of Duty League. Oxygen Esports' franchise team is filling in from a spot that was left vacant following Optic Gaming's merger with Envy Gaming, and according to release, the franchise team will be based in Boston. While information regarding the franchise team's name and branding have not been revealed, it has been announced that Oxygen Esports will work with New England Patriots, the Kraft Group, who are the parent company of Boston Uprising, to operate its Overwatch League and Call of Duty League teams. In addition to all of this, Oxygen Esports also announced a $20 million investment round that includes the likes of NBA and NFL professionals. Some other details that were mentioned in the announcement include Oxygen Esports establishing its headquarters and operations in Patriot Palace, which was the current training site for Boston Uprising. Now, there was a speculation leading up to this investment as to who would be that team to take the 12th spot, especially considering that the 2022 Call of Duty League will be commencing very, very soon. So I do think that it's really good by Call of Duty and also by Oxygen Esports to actually get a full complete roster of 12 of all the franchise teams getting, completed before the season started. Overall, I think this is a great deal for Oxygen Esports, and I think teaming up with the Kraft Group is obviously a very notable name to be teaming up with as well. Also, I do think that it'd be very interesting to see what happens with the Overwatch League franchise now, and we're kind of starting to see another major North American esports organization start to be developed in Oxygen Esports as a result of this merger as well. Our second story of the ESI Digest sees Riot Games announce a multitude of details regarding VALORANT EMEA and its esports ecosystem. This includes the introduction of VALORANT Regional Leagues. VALORANT Regional Leagues, or VRLs for short, will be implemented into VALORANT's EMEA ecosystem in 2022. In total, there'll be 8 VRLs next year, and each will be operated by partner organizations. Now, these regions include Spain, France, the UK, Ireland, and Nordics all together, Poland and Eastern Europe also together, CIS, MENA, Turkey, and the Dutch region. Now, some of the operators which Riot has partnered with these leagues include LVP, Freaks for You Gaming, ProMod Esports, Frenzy, GigMe, Calyx Gaming, ESI Esports as well. So a lot of kind of partner organizers also collaborating in this VRL system, very similar to League of Legends' European Regional League system. And what's really interesting is the winner of each VRL in Stage 1 will qualify for the VCT Promotion Tournament, which is a new competition that will see Regional League winners compete for a spot in VCT EMEA Stage 2. Riot Games also included minor details regarding VCT Stage 1, especially in EMEA. The 4 teams which competed in VALORANT Champions representing Europe have been invited to Stage 1, with the other remaining spots being made through open and closed qualifiers. Some really major news for the women's VALORANT scene as well, and Riot Games plans to hold 3 VCT Game Changers EMEA series in 2022, which includes January, May, and September, and that will all lead up to the global Game Changers event in November. If you do want to find out more information about these massive VALORANT changes through the EMEA system, then don't forget to head over to Esports Insider's website, where it also discusses the grassroots initiatives that VALORANT will also be introducing in 2022. Overall, I think this is a very exciting time for VALORANT. Obviously, they've seen the success of the European Regional Leagues and looking to implement that into VALORANT in itself. It's very interesting to see that despite it being an FPS, like, this is a very kind of semi-closed, semi-open system, but it's not a full franchise league, and I think that's really interesting to kind of see where this is going to develop in the future and whether franchising is going to be a possibility for Valorant in the future. Right now, though, I think this is a great path to pro. It shows development. Obviously, it works with a variety of different tournament operators as well, which I think is great for the ecosystem as a whole. And I'm really, really looking forward to kind of seeing what the regional leagues look like, and also the further developments for Game Changers as well. I think it's a great initiative, and it's really good to see more and more of these events start to come through in Valorant. Our third story of the ESI Digest sees multinational esports organization Gen.G promote its Chief Operating Officer, Arnold Hur, to the position of Chief Executive Officer. Now, the decision comes after the organization's previous CEO, Chris Park, announced that he would be moving to an advisory role in Gen.G. Hur's tenure at Gen.G, and more specifically as the COO, saw him responsible for the organization's esports operations, as well as the strategic definition of the company. As CEO, Hur will now focus on developing Gen.G's esports training program and also new initiatives involving partners and fans. Personally, I think this is a really smart step by Gen.G, especially if Chris Park is moving to an advisory role and no longer being the CEO. I think it makes sense to have someone who has really excelled in his role with Gen.G and kind of worked his way to this position as well. I think, obviously, looking at social media and the response on social media when we posted this announcement, it seems that he's a very liked person, a very well-respected person within the industry, and it's good to see someone be appointed, you know, kind of a promotion up from the company as well. It's nice to see progression. It's always good to see, you know, non-endemic kind of employees come in and bolster the esports industry, but it's also nice to see success stories like this where someone kind of works the way it was the COO and he's now the CEO of Gen.G. Our penultimate story of the ESI Digest sees Quadrant, a UK-based gaming and lifestyle brand, which was formed by Formula One driver Lando Norris, announce its first foray into esports, and they're entering Halo. Having spent the first year of its creation being focused on branding and content creation, Quadrant has signed a full roster which will compete in the Halo Championship Series kickoff in Raleigh. Personally, what is really interesting about this announcement is the intention for Lando Norris's esports team to go into a more traditional title, but also one that is currently on the rise and currently blooming and starting to grow. It's really intriguing to see them not go the sim racing route straight away, especially for the first initial foray into esports. But we're starting to see a lot more of this trend happening. Jesse Lingard, for example, with J-Links Esports, didn't go initially into FIFA, went straight into Rainbow Six Siege. Crew Esports obviously does have a prominent FIFA team, but has mainly had their focus in Valorant. We're starting to see a lot more of these traditional sports athletes not just use esports as a fan engagement opportunity, but as a business opportunity. And that means going for these titles such as Halo, which is started to rise, and with the Halo Championship Series continually growing the day by day, and obviously being a new rising esports scene. The fact that Lando Norris and Quadrant has identified that and gone into that highlights that this is more of a steady project for the organization and not just what was initially kind of looking like, which was creating a brand and a gaming lifestyle brand. But obviously they've created that brand now, they've created a following, and now they're entering into Halo to hopefully, probably, trying to make a difference. And dependent on the success of this, we could see them go into more esports titles in the future. Our final story of the ESI Digest sees games developer MOONTON Games and esports media company ONE Esports announced that both entities have joined together to produce the Mobile Legends Bang Bang Women's Invitational. According to the release, the tournament will feature up to 10 women-led Southeast Asian teams. Moreover, the event will take place on January 27th to 30th, includes a combined prize pool of $15,000. What's really exciting is that this is MOONTON's first official all-female tournament for its mobile MOBA title. As of right now, some of the teams invited for the event include Brent Esports, Omega Esports, IDNS Princesses, IDNS Elisa, and also Impunity Scarlet's One. For the entirety of 2021, Mobile Legends Bang Bang's competitive growth has been really interesting to see, and how it's expanded its esports ecosystem. And I think it's about time that emphasis was kind of put on the women's initiatives as well. I think it'd be really interesting to see how this initiative will span off into other initiatives, and whether this ONE Esports MOONTON partnership will continue to develop. And that's it for this week's ESI Digest, and that is it for this year's ESI Digest. Well, at least in this format, we'll be doing a end of year review which will be coming out sometime over the holidays as well. We'll be going through the biggest stories of the year alongside a couple of guests as well. But before that, if you do want to read up on any of the stories that I have covered, then don't forget to head over to Esports Insider's website. Also, don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube, and wherever you are listening to me on right now. And until then, I'll see you next week.